All right, thank you all for staying after. I know none of us want to stay after homecoming days, but here we are. I appreciate you. All right, so today we are here to work together to create a new walkthrough form that meets our current campus needs and expectations. Our current campus walkthrough form is based on a DMAC and then leads to T-tests, so we have those to look at. And then also look at some other walkthrough forms, discuss what needs we have, what likes that we like from those, and then create a new form based off of what we do need for our campus and what we like from the other forms. So. Alright, so here is our current one. Any thoughts on that? Just from the very beginning of looking at it.
It's very generic looking.
Yes.
Like it says communication, what does that mean?
You're only looking at planning, instruction, and learning environment.
Activities. Like,
it looks like activities.
Is this asking like, are
so we know that it's planning activities.
But is it like, are we planning student-led activities? Is it supposed to be, or are they effective activities? Like,
or is it the activities that we do during our planning meetings? Kind of.
Yeah, we don't really know.
It's very vague.
I could look at this and not know what is expected of me.
Agreed. Mm-hmm. There's no place for current, if this is supposed to lead to T-tests, there's no place for current levels to fall on this.
Yeah, it looks like there's only 3 things you're looking at too.
Yeah. So I guess that would kind of be under rating, but there's nothing listed under there.
One positive thing, it's short, that way walkthroughs are meant to be short, 10, 15 minutes at that, but it's also...
Oh, that's our current one?
This is our current campus one.
I mean, where it says evidence, like, there's not even enough room to put down what do you see.
Right.
Is it like for, like
is it
learning
supposed to
environment?
be a check mark? Like you
Like,
see
yes.
They did see it, and then,
fast.
it's a good question.
What about, how are the kids grouped? Are they small group? Are they individual? Is it whole group? Is it a mixture of all? Where's differentiation on there?
There is some
There is.
differentiation here.
But even then, it's still vague.
It's
still way
just
too vague.
yes or no.
Alright, here is a current one from Louisville, however you want to, Louisville City Schools. Alright, so I thought it'd be easiest if we're just comparing one at a time.
Okay.
Type of thing.
Okay.
Alright, so thinking about what we have right now and this one, what do we see as far as improvements, areas we don't like, anything of that nature?
Do like that it's still relatively short, but there are options. So like looking at the differentiation, it's like, did you differentiate by student interest, student readiness, student learning style?
Process and product, those are the things that when you go to do a lesson on differentiation for your teacher learning days, that's what they talk about. So it's nice that it's actually there.
I feel like differentiation is one of the hardest things. A lot of people don't really know what it looks like, so sometimes you can argue back and forth. You didn't differentiate, but I did. I actually did it this way. Maybe not the way you're thinking, but differentiation is really an umbrella term.
Well, I was going to say, and I like that it's broken down even, it's got your subcategories under that. Ours has nothing, and that has been an issue before, I know.
But even student engagement, it's not a, were they engaged, yes or no, it's, were they on task, were they passive?
Disengaged or disruptive.
Well, even like we talked about activity on this one,
I like this one.
I was going to say we have whole class, small group, individual. I was going to say it breaks it down completely.
Well, even the
And
instruction.
what that would look like.
I feel like it's quick as far as you can just give check marks as you're doing a walkthrough, but it still has room for notes at the bottom.
Yeah.
Do you need to take note of anything that you can't just check off on?
Well, we said differentiation is one of the hardest things to get to, but the higher order thinking is hard to get to, but they specifically list it here so that you're actually thinking about it. So if you walked into a room, it's there for you to make note of it.
I really like this research-based strategies. I haven't seen that before on one, but it goes all the way down to like setting objectives and providing feedback, generating and testing hypotheses.
Cues, questions, and advanced organizers.
So those are some things that you feel like teachers just do naturally. But to see that it's something that is actually research-based.
But this is something like, think about your new teachers. If they don't get it naturally, it could be a good, what to work on for next time.
Right, I could look at this and come up with, okay, well, let me make sure that I include this in my lesson when they come in, so I know some things they're looking for.
And because you might see the classes engaged, but are they really using best practices in the lesson?
Or this, how Kilgore has a mentor program. If you go in every time the teacher's always queuing questions and they're doing really well at it, you could pair them with somebody who's never able to do that. It's a good way to partner
I
somebody up.
think this embedded literacy would be really important because our goal right now is writing across curriculum, and there's actually an option of writing across the curriculum. That should be, yes, you're doing that, no, you're not doing that.
And that should be that should be in every classroom. I was gonna say, because that is a campus-wide, or actually a district-wide initiative. It's not just ELA or.
Also, like the levels of student work, because that can go across even like specials, like.
Agreed, yeah.
In PE, they're gonna be more like applying, creating, or evaluating and stuff.
And even then, that could tie into your differentiation some, that, I was gonna say, that could even be grouped with that to some extent. Because that is one way that you could differentiate.
Yeah, I like the student activity being broken up by whole class, small group,
Yes,
or
me too.
individualized, because you are doing different
I
things
really
there.
like this one a lot.
You can't really look for differentiation if you're doing a whole class activity all the time. It'll look different than differentiation if it's individualized and things. So I think that really gears the
And I
rest of
think
it.
having this as a document, you could go back and say, well, did you ever visit me during a small group or
Yeah,
independent?
you've
or-
only ever seen me during
Right,
whole
during
group
this, yeah.
lessons, that would be good.
That would be, on your.
Like evidence.
I did find it interesting that on technology to enhance the lesson, so many times we've been told that the doc cam and the interactive boards and things aren't technology to enhance the lesson, but this one says that it is.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, I definitely think that it is.
I do like that. Well, I was gonna say, and as a teacher, especially if you're thinking about your new teachers or your teachers that need some help, those other non-veteran, or however you want to word them, even some of the veteran teachers, this would be a better guide than what we have now of, okay, these are the areas I'd never have checked off, where do I need to work on, as far as that goes.
So
Yeah,
far,
it does give good.
What do we think about, I'm unsure about like classroom appearance. Do we think this matters on that end?
I think
To an extent, I would say it does, like safe and orderly environment. Like I've had a partner teacher who their stuff was everywhere. You could never find it if they had a sub, or the kids didn't know what to do because of the way that the classroom.
Think about procedures. Do the kids know where to get supplies and things?
that's true.
And if
That's my
it's
thing.
chaotic,
classroom appearance sometimes looks like, is your room cute? But that's not what these subcategories
right,
are
that's
saying.
true.
They're saying, are there visuals? Do you have your anchor charts up? Is it safe and everything's put up, or you have stuff everywhere?
I do like that one of the parts that I personally like on here is the learning goals is displayed. That's one of the things that we've talked about before for our campus is these kids need these visuals of where do I need to be. That's actually part of their walkthrough checklist, which I think is kind of neat because that's not a
Is that a part of
requirement for
ours?
us.
because this fundamental 5 and Kilgore really is fundamental 5. I think it'd be
Well, we're supposed to put the,
We will hours.
yeah, like
I was
your
gonna say, I have
objectives and things.
objectives, but not
But is
necessarily.
that on this, do you get, like they say that we're required to have it, but do we
I was
get
gonna say,
points
well,
for
like
having
this
it or
one
not having it?
specifically says data is displayed, like you're running
We display data.
I was gonna, right, some
Yeah,
people
so
do, but
like-
I was gonna say the fact, if it were a requirement or something that they were looking for that could boost your score even, I think more people would do that and they would hold those kids a little more accountable on that end.
Well, it is research-based that showing their kids their data does improve scores, so to be rewarded for it somehow on the T-test, I think would make me feel better because we do go the extra step and display data.
Well, it helps with the goal setting too, which
Yeah.
is also research based.
And if it's so disorderly, you can't find stuff for your lesson, that's gonna be disruptive to instruction, so.
Yeah.
So like it makes a difference.
I've heard also like down here under classroom culture, we have evidence of celebrating student successes, which I think we all do, but that for our campus could tie directly in. That could be where we're seeing, are they using the house system? Are they giving out points to celebrate these successes as we've talked
Or even
about?
just acknowledging students for.
So, I mean, we could even reword that to tie in the house system directly.
Or just put it e.g., giving house points when.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah. Celebrating student success by giving house points,
Yes.
something of that nature.
To tie, yeah.
But I think classroom culture is a cool thing to see.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm a fan. I like
Okay,
it.
okay, this one's good.
That's
Okay.
first.
Alright.
Yeah, I think.
I have multiple. I was like, where did I find this one?
I wish more districts would share them online.
I did too. That was one thing that I found difficult, was
They're hard to find.
accessing some of them. Okay, this one is from Tollgate. I have no idea where that is, but it was online,
We're using it.
so we're gonna use it.
Take one.
Take one out of this one. Alright, so this one almost, to some extent, reminded me a little bit more of ours. But it had a little more detail than ours did. It still broke it down a little bit. And it wasn't just evidence, because like ours is either yes or no, you have some or don't. But like this one, is it good evidence? Is there no evidence at all? Is it strong?
See,
And
I'm
no
not a big,
places for comments.
I personally am not a big fan of the no, some and strong.
Yeah, you're not?
No, not really. Just from a teacher side, I mean, what is some evidence versus strong? I mean, you would need to be very specific about what that looks like. Where's that line?
There's a comment
That
section
can,
for it, but
you know, you can get.
I think if we
opinions.
if we use this and you put some, it would have to require a comment.
You would have to, right.
To explain
Agreed.
why it wasn't
Mhm.
strong. But I will say, just looking at this physical organization, I don't like that being on there.
Classroom spaces arranged to accommodate different groupings.
Furniture is set up to support students. I don't want to be
No.
graded on that every time.
Well, and that wouldn't work in our district
Yeah,
anyway,
definitely don't
because we, or in our campus, because we all have exactly the same furniture.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
That's not really mobile.
Supplies are
supplies are
organized
organized
and
and
easily
labeled.
accessible by students to foster their responsibility.
You seem like
We have to,
person.
This,
well, I was gonna say, we
yeah,
also
this
have
is
to
like a
remember,
Montessori kind of.
well, I was gonna say, we also have to remember our age of kids. Sometimes them having access to all of it is not, I mean, there are certain things
Yeah,
they
look
need
at the
it.
target at the top. I can create a beautiful classroom environment that supports student learning, responsibility, engagement. So they
I
are
really
looking
like
at the
Yeah.
beauty of it.
I was concerned about beautiful, like, there are some words in here that are just like very wide open to interpretation.
Mhm.
Acceptable student behavior to me may not be acceptable student
Exactly.
behavior to you.
That's why I don't like the some evidence versus strong evidence, because that could be subjective.
I look down here, like where it kind of breaks apart. Student names, faces, and work are visible throughout the classroom and beyond.
Every member of the crew is represented in pictures
this
and
is one of
artifacts
it.
around the room.
Purposeful displays that give viewers a sense of
Now I could see,
ambience.
I could see where that would,
Right.
I could see where that would foster like a good culture.
Sure.
But that's,
Or a
I hate to say it, but that's a good, not a good use of time, I think. We have other things to do.
And
That would take a
also-
lot of time.
Yeah, this may be like a younger group, but look at this one. Artifacts that cultivate wonder, curiosity, and investigation.
Or on display. What does
Yeah.
that even mean?
That was,
So down
So
here,
vague
where
on
it
some of
says
these.
rituals and routines, it actually says, students develop and teach routines in the classroom for managing materials, furnitures, and space. See, I like that better than just the
I do too,
physical
but-
organization.
What was
like-
it? Right.
Because if that physical organization isn't in place, they're not gonna be able to teach routines with,
Correct. It's almost like they're contradicting each other to some extent.
I mean, down here it is
We're
like
talking
teachers
about
and
this,
students
but teachers are
develop.
developing it.
So they're focused on more of the students, I feel like, having
input.
input and like, which it's important, the classroom, the culture, yes. And that way they're invested in the classroom. But where is it where they're worried about, the rigor and the depth of knowledge?
I will say, I like the other walkthrough form better, but I like this setup a little bit better than our setup. As far as
Right.
organization.
As far
So
as
like-
organization.
Like, I don't really necessarily care for what they have, but the organization, the way it's broken up, I think is a little bit better than just a
Well, I was gonna
yes
say,
or
and
no.
there's- yes, there's-
And the check boxes and all that.
Right, because there's more space, because ours doesn't have any space to even
Yeah.
put a comment on.
See, because
all.
I know you were saying you
We're
don't really
reading the
like,
evidence, but
the some evidence, but isn't that better than just a yes or no if you saw a little bit of it, but it wasn't enough for you to be like, okay,
So what if-
really use that, or they really.
So let's talk about like one of our expectations is having kids stand and speak. Okay. So what if we said, oh, this child, like 2 kids did it, but then there's a couple more that didn't. So like sometimes you saw it, but sometimes you didn't. Is it consistent? Do I need to come back and make sure that they are consistently staying on top of these kids to do these
Yeah,
things?
that's a good point.
That
Or
kind of
is it
thing.
because it's the beginning of the year
Right.
and we're still working on
Yeah, that's a
that?
good point. Well, that's to me where you're just making it.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that would be where I would like the some part, like, oh, some kids are doing this correctly, other kids are not.
But the
is the
some
teacher
part-
following through, making sure it's
Should require a comment.
Notice some
Agreed.
strong boxes next to this kind of.
Yes.
So I don't like what the targets say, but I like the idea of the targets because at least you know what you're looking for when you walk in. So like I would like to know, do those change throughout the year?
That's a very
Yeah, like you should change out the wonder in the classroom.
Well, like we haven't looked at it yet, but even on the mentor one, there's a different rubric, a different form for each quarter based off of what
That
the
should be-
goal
that
should
should
be
be
for
real.
that one. So yes, if you were using this, I would think it would need to be a different target.
Maybe this would be more of a beginning of the
Beginning
year
of the year.
It does
focus.
say August.
It does. So maybe it is, but
I mean, it kind of
it's
looks
still-
geared to the beginning.
Well, and it just says
of the year.
walk through classroom environments. This is all on
environment.
So that's,
It's good.
based off of that, it's not terrible, but
No.
yeah.
Definitely some things
That's
that
gonna be a
we
lot of
have
work if you're breaking it down that much for everyone.
It's true. Alright, this is one that our intermediate school has used. I personally love the way this one looks to begin with. It's very broken down, it's very basic on what what you're looking for. As far as your check boxes, it has it labeled completely out. But, there's some nice thoughts.
Like on this,
This one.
well, I like how it's broken up and has different categories and easy check marks. I just wish there was more, where you could find the evidence. Yes, they did this. There's a spot for the notes,
Some
I
notes,
know they
yeah.
type it in there, but when you're wanting to go meet the teacher afterwards, well, just a follow-up. What are some notes on, I did this, how it did, are you not doing this? And that's, my most favorite part about this is where it has a student comprehension, where you ask 3 different students, then the evaluator. You go to make sure.
Maybe take this piece, because this piece that I really like is on that other one as well. It's at the bottom section, so this piece that I really like is down there. Maybe add
Like
this
that.
piece where you do ask 3 kids, and 3 kids at 3 different tables.
Yeah.
Because,
I like that too. I think I would specify on the form that it needed to be 3 different tables.
yeah, because if the one table doesn't understand, that shouldn't
That
take your
doesn't-
entire.
Agreed. Yeah. Sweet engagement. This one has some, there are more options on this one.
Does this one just look less intimidating than
It
this one?
does.
From far away, this one looks like it would be just.
It should have, that's the format and the font, all of that makes a difference on this one. And as a teacher, I would prefer to look at this one, the KISS one.
Like it's less
This one,
wordy, it
Yeah.
has a lot of this. This would be a great explanation.
Yes, agreed.
Like the behind the scenes type thing.
Yeah.
When teachers see it, this.
On this one, it's like, oh, this
Yeah, I think that could be a lot easier.
Or in a passive compliant. That's an interesting option on this one.
Yeah, I really do like that because I've been in a classroom before where the kids weren't being ugly or disrespectful, but they really weren't doing anything else either. They were watching.
just didn't want to get in trouble.
You mean like when we were kids?
Yeah,
They're not collaborating, they're not discussing, they're not asking questions. They're just passive.
I do like that this one also has teacher location, because I don't see on that on the other form that we did like, and that is something to note usually, are they always gonna
I
find
guess that bundle more file that they really push on. Are you in the power zone?
Power zone.
And to me, I feel like the power zone changes, depends on, where the focus is.
Well, and I feel like having this would really help with some of those IEP meetings too, when they want preferential seating, and you can have documentation that every time I go in, the teacher is all over the room, so preferential seating isn't really a thing.
It's where the kids learn best.
But if you have a teacher who's always in the same spot, then you don't have that data to back it up in those meetings too, so it kind of helps
It's good, yeah, I hadn't thought about that one, that's very good.
I like this one with the instruction. My favorite one's looking at real world cross curricular connections. Since we're focusing on that, they're bringing writing in throughout all core contents, but also you're making those connections. It's all about connecting what they're doing in school to home and all that stuff. But you can help them build connections by. I've watched it in middle school.
I like that too, 'cause one of my favorite lessons when we help with math, which one of our teachers who with math is the financial literacy. And so I always give the kids a random amount of money in the Roadhouse menu, and I'm like, y'all are a family, figure out how to feed yourselves, and they're like stressing out, like, I don't have enough money to use, and they have to see, like, this doesn't make sense, and so that's always really fun to do.
Well, and this one has questions, that as the evaluator will help you know what they're looking for, so. None of these have it, but I have seen some admin come in and do some scripting. Is that something we're gonna think about, that adding any piece for that? No?
Right, well, I'm a slow listener, so I think I focus more on what they're saying than I would be.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say, like, I've seen some look specifically at different types of questions they were asking. So not necessarily just your higher level thinking questions, but what type of questions are you asking, questions where the kids are thinking, but are they, is it something that's gonna lead them to their individual?
I definitely think scripting at least a little bit is gonna be beneficial, because I can tell you, I could fill this out for someone, and if you came to me for a walkthrough 24 hours later, I probably will not, especially if I did multiple that day, remembering exactly why I scored that or whatever. I can see that being
Yeah, I'm
a little
someone
difficult.
I would want more spaces, like on this one, for instance, where I could take notes next
yeah.
to each area.
I was gonna say, and even on this one's, in some places you could, for sure do that.
Well, that's a great question. Jot it down real quick.
Right.
I loved that question you asked.
Well, and sometimes as teachers, we don't obviously hear everything that's being said, but are we having those conversations?
Could we add like a box where it just says, was this lesson recorded? And then you could record like the 10 minutes and then put it in a Google Drive with that person's name. Like each teacher has their own
Ooh.
folder. And so that way you have the lesson recorded, so you go back and pull it up and watch it with the teacher. Because it kind of reminds me of like speech class. You don't really know how poorly you're speaking until you listen to yourself or watch yourself and your mannerisms, and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe
Yeah.
I said
I
that.
was gonna say something similar because with the scripting and then you're having to type it in or whatever, I've had an appraiser, who will not be named, actually disrupt my class because the box for the scripting ran out of space and was not allowed to put more in there, where when we have those recordings that we go back and look at sometimes, the scripting is there, although you have to
And that may be
adjust for
better.
the AI reading of it.
Well, because most of your daily walkthroughs are only going to be 15, 20 minutes long. They're not going to be here 45 minutes every time you go in. So it's a quick, maybe on your phone or the school iPad, put it in your Google Drive and then delete it off of your personal device, and then that's freed up.
Yeah,
And then
okay.
you just date it and move on.
So do we think instead of scripting, we should look more at just doing that box? And
I think with the way
option
technology is
of
going, yeah, scripting is kind of a thing of the past. You gotta think, the reason why people did it is because they weren't recording
Right, that's true.
devices, so.
You're right. Okay. Alright, we have a couple others. My wonderful friend.
There's just some random one you found.
Yes, I could not figure out where this one was from, but I did like some of the setup of this one.
I don't know, next one I was go weird.
That's just good.
Well, I was gonna say even, yeah. Like even, I was gonna say, some of these don't even say, like this one does, but what your objectives. There's not a place for all of those on some of these, and I think you need to know what I was watching at that point, especially for these teachers that do teach more than one subject. So as far as likely your lesson observed, I wasn't sure at the top, like it has reinforcement and refinement.
That's your glow and grow.
Right, but are we, is it supposed to be a checkbox for this one? Like, I'm in here to reinforce something that was already happening and I'm coming back and watching it? You see what I'm saying? Or is the teacher working on the refinement part? Like, that's the part that's a little unclear, is this from the administrator side of which part I'm looking at, or is it?
So my first district that I worked at, every single walkthrough, long or short, didn't matter. They had a glow and a grow. You had to give one for yourself, and then they gave one for you, and so that would be documented on there. So that's what I thought when I saw it.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like that would be good. There would be a space for the teacher to say strength, weakness of the lesson, and the administrator has to give a strength, weakness that correlates to the lesson, the content.
Yeah.
That way, because no matter how great you are, there's always going to be something you could have done better.
Right. I was gonna say, I think we all could say at times that we've been frustrated with that. It's like, okay, I don't need to hear that it was just great. I need to know what can be improved on that. So what could be that growth
Sure, it was
from what
great.
you did see?
You're giving me 3s and 4s, and I want 5s.
There has to be some area. What can I do different? So yeah, even some coaching on that growing part. So I don't know if
Yeah,
that's
I like
something that I was gonna say. I kind of like.
Well, it kind of gives you a goal for the next time.
Right. I was gonna say, even if we don't call it those words, I kind of like glow and grow. Honestly, I kind of like that wording.
Well, and that's pretty self-explanatory. This right here confused me a little bit.
Same. That was me.
Glow, grow.
Yeah.
You did great. Here's an area
Right.
that you can.
Well, and I would think even as a principal, it would help you on the coaching end of that. Like, okay, I have to figure out. They obviously didn't get to score perfectly, so what could they have done differently? Even on my end, if I'm not scoring as high as they could,
I think if I'm not distinguished all the way down,
across.
then I need some sort of.
Yes, I need some sort of coaching.
And you're reinforcing what they're doing great.
Yeah.
So they can't come in and say it's all negative.
I like some of the things on here, but it's again, it's that yes, no. I like some of the questions
Right.
they're asking.
Yes.
Like question 4 up top, just feedback of
Yes,
quality,
I like that one.
specific and academically focused. Then it says type.
I do
feedback,
like the
student
type.
student.
like that.
I like
Yeah.
the feedback. Feedback is very important.
Think about, when the kids are speaking, like, I agree because, or I disagree, this that student talk.
I like the same thing with 5. Is it a whole group, small group, pairs, individuals? Did you do all of them while I was in there?
Right? Did it
Because it's-
change?
right.
Was it varied,
Right,
or
did you
is
mix
it
it in?
always whole group?
That's good. Well, and even on the teacher end of that, like if you're only seeing one side, I might even come, hey, we're doing small groups at this time, please come watch this.
This is
That type of
silly,
thing.
but number 6, I kind of like it. Lesson structure, prompt,
I was looking at
coherent,
that.
crisply paced with efficient transitions.
I
Not
was
just,
just-
we're not gonna do this, like, it flows.
Looking at that, well, because even right now, I'm struggling with transitions.
Well, I was gonna say, even the briskly paced at this rate, because I'm like, what are we doing right now? We're in third grade, we should know what we're doing by now, but briskly paced is not in our vocabulary.
I completely agree. Like I told the kids today,
I do
well,
like
if you
that.
haven't gotten your things, it's because you're not following instructions because of that brisk pace that they're not following.
Number 10, I feel like it's fine, but you would really need to make sure you train everyone on what does analytical look like, what does practical look
Agreed.
like. You need to make
Research-based.
It's
sure
like it's trying to be balloons, but it's.
That's why I like the research based on the other one, because it lists
Agreed.
out
Yes.
what it is.
I think a lot of these others tie into the one that we liked better
I feel like you
anyways.
can combine number 1 and 8 also, about being engaged.
Yeah.
Teachers say super.
Well, no.
Combine them.
Well, teacher,
in your room, but I've seen rooms where the teacher was not actively engaged, and that is a problem.
they're just, here's the content, here's what it is, now you do.
I'm gonna go sit down.
Okay.
They sit behind their desk or sit at the.
They're not looking at the students who are, when
considered
they're,
actively engaged, if their teachers just.
Well, so like think about this, if I start my kids on a group lesson like social studies, and they're working together to answer the questions, then that's actively engaged. Now, if I'm not walking around checking on them, I'm sitting behind my computer answering emails or doing whatever, then I'm not doing my part.
Okay, got you.
Yeah.
Some kids are just great and will do what they're supposed to do. Now, normally, no, they'll
Yeah.
drift off eventually, but
Just like impossible for me.
I think the
Yeah,
type
I
of
would say-
materials is very
Right.
It's not
close
something
to the
that
one we
works
already
great.
have. It does add manipulatives,
Yeah.
like that, but ours says hands-on material, so I think
So I think that covers it. Yeah.
internet, that's, I wouldn't have thought about that.
try a baseboard.
Yeah. The type of assessment,
I was looking at types of problem solving, like, are you doing more than one kind of problem solving?
See, I like that there's differentiation on here too, but I like it better broken down into.
On this one.
I was gonna say yeah.
I do like the suggestions of words of praise. I feel like even if it was a great walkthrough,
So
I
that's
still thought the
again-
follow-up is always.
Yeah, that's again
words
the
of
grow,
praise.
so suggestions and words of praise. That again is another one that's saying, here's something that you need to work on, here's what you did great with.
But it was always interesting comparing your own glow and grow with theirs, because they didn't match.
Yeah.
Well, and I think it's important to talk to the teachers about, because if they can't give you a glow and grow, that tells you they're not really aware of what they're doing. If they don't see issues with what's going on in their classroom, 'cause we can all be great, but we know when something didn't go right, and we change it for the next class. I mean, it happens at least 3 times a week.
30 minutes.
I know, like at least 3 times a week, I'm like, okay, that's not working.
Okay, so I think we agreed that we like this rubric best.
With a mixture of
correct?
this.
Maybe
This
try to-
format a little
Yeah.
better though, even though it's, a mixture of that one.
So maybe even if this
Well-
one was a front and back,
Well, that's what I was gonna say, it'd still be one page if we did that. I don't wanna make it much smaller because on that end, but I do
Do you
think
think this
adding,
wheel of knowledge is really needed?
No.
I mean, because that could.
which really, well, I was gonna say, these are very similar as far as, we could use that box. I do think we need to add this glow grow to this one. And maybe a little more space for feedback or something. Yeah. What else are we missing? Do we think all of these other parts are still needed? Overall, I would say besides the wheel.
now would it be better, so I know we're talking about one page, what if we made this into a Google form, because they have the boxes, and then it's as long as you
Yeah.
need it to be, and not intimidating to look at, and then you could always print it out for them if they wanted to look at it.
Agreed. I was gonna say, and if it were on a form, you would have more space for writing.
Exactly.
It wouldn't have a limit on what I did on that end, as far as feedback and all of that.
My only question with that would be, is it going to be distracting trying to scroll up and down to find what you're trying to add to it?
Potentially,
True.
maybe both options, honestly. Because, I was gonna say, I'm a tech person, I preferred that it was digital as far as that goes.
Like you prefer
And
to do
it's-
it digitally when you're doing walkthroughs, or you want to have paper printed?
I'd want a paper printed, but I would want a digital copy to save, because I don't wanna hold on to all the papers. If that makes sense. I guess I like both sides,
Sure.
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
That's how I heard it the
but-
first time.
I was gonna say, but putting on a Google form is definitely not a bad idea.
That's cool. And if you could upload it to their personal digital file, they can always.
Well, I was gonna say, and that would, on thinking about on the teacher side of it, and having to have that evidence for T-test as far as all that goes, that would be great evidence right there, what I already have.
And for TIA.
And for TIA, that's true.
It's just, yeah, extra backup
Extra backup,
documentation.
for sure.
Because if you're not getting walkthroughs very often, you may think, oh, what was that he wanted me to work on when he came in a few months
Sure.
ago?
I was gonna say, and I
What
think,
was that?
yeah, I think most of us have pulled at some point our old walkthroughs to see, okay, where was that? Where did I score on that? Where did I not score on that? That type of thing. So having it digitally is definitely a good idea.
That one goes with the other.
Yeah. So we like these. Alright. We do have one more if we want to look at any. I was saying the only reason I even pulled this one was because it was specific towards feedback. So it would almost be a second form, like a conference form probably on that end. But
So
there
maybe
are parts
like,
of it that could be that maybe on the back of this one where you had, I was gonna say, this is during the observation, you have this form to use after that on that end.
maybe like, on here, if you put like a checkbox, you know, follow up with teacher afterwards.
Yeah.
And then if they do follow
Oh,
up, use
that's
this
good.
form.
Yeah.
I do like this, actually, the what's next. Where are you going from here? What was this lesson leading to?
Right.
That seems really important to me. Sometimes we don't know where we're going.
I think also being able to tell the teacher what you want to see out of the next as well.
That's how I read it.
I think it both.
And maybe that's broken down a little bit more than on that end
Did
of
we have this in
what is the
the
teacher
other
expecting, what am I
teacher
expecting to
knowledge
see?
of students?
Does that mean like knowing which kids are your LEBs or your EBs or your 504s?
Well, and just knowing how to
knowing-
talk to them, I
yeah.
think.
Well, and sometimes even, like, some of those things might be something that admin would need to know in advance also. Like, how are you gonna talk to my kids when you come in based off of,
Well, because that would also help with the transitions. If you're going to do a short quiz and you have to go back to your folder to flip through and figure out which ones get oral admin,
You should, yeah.
by this
That's true.
time,
right,
you know, if now it's the beginning of the year, sure, but if you're in January and you're still needing to flip through to see who gets it,
You don't really
then
know
maybe
who
you're
gets
not doing it the way you're supposed to be doing it. Could be a
Yeah,
good
I don't really
indicator.
see that.
Yeah, well, it just kind of shows that you don't do it often, you're not watched, so those kids might not be getting the tools they need.
It might be like another little checkbox right there, like
Yeah.
knowledge of students.
Knowing when your kid checks
That's
out, when they
good,
might need
yeah.
a little, just a, like a little break, you just getting too rough.
Stretch,
Yes.
breathe, move around. Other than that, I really like that, I mean, that's really wide open. Like, it could be vague, but
yeah. I think that would be more for after.
It's a plan that we have.
There are a
to-
few,
like,
I
oh,
did
it
like
looked
that
great.
part of it, that though.
Do something to talk about.
Yeah, you know, this kind of reminds me of something that you would fill out while you're doing the walkthrough conversation. To print off while you're having,
Right.
while they're coming in for that feedback.
Coming in for
and
that
then
feedback.
like,
Yeah.
Remember, take this with you now that we've discussed.
right. This
Like,
is-
you may not need
this
to
is
fill
where-
it in every box, but these
Right.
are the things we talked about
This
this
is where,
time.
this is where I expect you to be next time I come in,
Focus,
type of
yeah.
thing, your goal. Okay, that's good. Okay, well, thank you all for coming. I will get this new form situated, but I appreciate all your feedback.
You're welcome.
So, yes, please sign the sign-in sheet.